he is.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How about you?
Buddy.
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Sorry for being late. A lot of stuff to do today.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you hopped on when you did because we were about to pull the pin on this thing. We'd basically run out of things to say.
Yeah, and then we were going to fine you.
That's fine.
For our night out.
I know how these works. I take care of those here in this locker room. So, yeah, you can find me. I know that works, and I know it's for a good cause. You just have to invite me for the night out, though.
Nice.
Is that what it
That's a
does?
deal.
Is that a common thing, like across MLS or any clubs you've played for, that it's usually put into the kitty and then it goes towards a night out with the whole team?
Yeah. I mean, either goes to like a night out, like at the team dinner, some activities. I mean, we all know, obviously, with our go-karting activity last year that changed our season towards the end of the season. But what we do most of the money, we get it together, and at the end of the year, we give it back to the support staff. So medical team, kit man, team admin. It's just a way to saying thanks for the season, and it's just a little gesture. But I know some teams are doing it differently, but that's how we've been doing it since I've been in Montreal. Yeah.
So who gets
Do you
fined the
find a lot?
most?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
There's got to be an
who
easy
gets-
target that is always getting fined.
Yeah, I would say Caden Clark is an easy one, just for little stuff, because he forgets. He's like a bit he's a bit like goofy and forget about like small things.
Scatterbrained, maybe.
Sorry,
Scatterbrained.
maybe yeah. Mahala, but he's got a good excuse. I mean, he's got a daughter. He's alone here with his daughter, so he's like taking care of her alone. And I know sometimes we have last minute changes to drop her at daycare. Some mornings are not as easy as you want them to go with your kids. But yeah, if you're late, you're late. No excuses. You got to pay. So he's got a couple bucks in the pot coming from him. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, listen, we're going to get right into it because we have less time now than we planned for originally. And apologies if you do listen back to this, or if Laure, your press person, does, because we kind of slagged you a little bit, saying that you ghosted us. But Sam, you're here, and we're really pleased that you are. I think this is your first time on Footy Prime.
Yeah, first time. Yeah. Obviously, you heard a lot about your podcast and seen some clips here and there on social media, but first time being here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, so happy that you're here. So for anybody that doesn't know, Sam Piette, legendary figure at CF Montreal, been there since 2017. You're also a Canadian international, almost 70 caps for Canada, and you've been captain since 2023 and the club's leader in the MLS era for field players, for regular season games played and games started. So welcome officially to Footy Prime, and I'm sorry that James Sharman, our regular host, isn't here because he usually has a backdrop of famous footballers in pickle jars where you feature.
Really?
So, yeah.
Your head is in one of the pickle jars.
So I guess I got to come back another time and have him on the show, and then to see that. So yeah, that's my obligation to you guys, that I will be back at some point for the excuses of me being late today.
Well, just so you know,
Sam,
we're looking for a Montreal replacement for our Montreal pundit.
I think Amy is doing a great job.
Oh, I do too.
Sam.
I do too. Jeez.
Of course.
That's bullshit.
Lucky to have her here.
I think we should have a quick vote.
I vote for Amy.
Yes, Sam. You're full of shit, Wonger. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Before we get into it, because we want to kind of use you being here as like a pundit and a voice talking about our men's national team in Nations League. But before we get into that, how are you doing? How's the body? How's the fitness? Because it must be frustrating to pick up an injury. I know you dealt with a groin injury last year, and now I think it's a hamstring. So is it like, how are you doing with it sort of mentally? Because it must be frustrating getting that after putting in all the work to build your base up in preseason.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Back to training, fully training. Big game on Saturday, should be available unless there's an incident that happens this week, which we don't want to happen. But big game against Nashville, so she'll be part of this trip and potentially on the bench. I hope so. I think, and I know that's the plan. But yeah, it's always tough because you go through 5, 6, 7 weeks of preseason. Your body is reacting really well, and you prepare yourself for preseason, because nowadays, you don't show up to preseason unfit at all and haven't done anything. You have to be ready for the preseason. which I think I did a really good job of that, and then had no issues during preseason. So really thought I was, ready for physically for the season. And then you face obviously Atlanta, first game of the year, 65,000 on turf, big players in front of you and all that. And you picked up a little injury that seemed nothing major at the time, towards the end of the game. And then, you after the game, you think you'll be out for 2-3 days, maybe take a couple of days to make sure your body fully recovers and back for the next game. The next game was in Minnesota, and then this injury ended up being 2 or 3 weeks out, and it's tough because you feel like when you get injured, a couple of days after you feel really good, or you feel a lot better than when you got injured, and then at some point it's just stagnant. It's just no improvement. You just don't know really why. You don't know what you need to do extra or less. So that's a frustrating part. And then at some point you just jump over the fence and you feel great, and in a quick turnaround. So that's how I feel now. So happy to be back, but it's tough. It's tough to watch your team go through, first of all, these away games that are difficult, and not having the success, and then seeing everybody here at the training ground. The mood is a bit shitty, obviously, because you don't get the results you want, and you feel bad for them, but also you're not really part of this, so you can't really say out loud, I think we're doing this wrong, because you're not part. It's like, yeah, but you're not even there, so just relax. But at the same time, you kind of help out.
You can.
Yeah, I'm trying
you look
to,
like you
but it's
look
a
like
fine
a
line.
pig. That's all, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you got to find the balance. But yeah, I'm back now. Should be good to go on Saturday. So that's the positive side of it.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you back in that strip and involved with CF Montreal, because they need you in the heart of that midfield. But pivoting back to the national team for a sec, for the last decade, you've been a fixture with them. If you're fit, you're in. And last September was the first time you hadn't been called up in almost 12 years. So you're obviously still in the conversation. You were part of that wider 60-player roster that was put out a few months ago. And we know that Marsch is a big fan of yours, but I know how it feels to be left off rosters. It sucks. It's brutal. Has there been consistent dialogue between you and Jesse? And was this latest omission for the Nations League, was it purely based on fitness?
I mean, for this, obviously, this window now, there was no conversation with me and the coach. And I'm not saying this is the main reason why, but I was obviously not fit. I was not playing and injured. So I think that's the first criteria of being or could be selected. But yeah, we've had discussion here and there. I mean, last time we saw each other, we had a little camp before the window in November, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously we saw each other there, talked a little bit. But yeah, I think Jesse is more, if you're performing, if you're my type of player, if you're performing with your club, and then you're giving me reason to call you, I'll call you. And yeah, haven't been called since I think it was the Copa America in the summer. Obviously, like you said, it's always a tough thing when you've been selected for many times and then this doesn't happen. But for me, like, I'm really in peace with this. I know it's a privilege to be called up to the national team, and I think it's a good thing now that it's getting more and more difficult to get called up. I know it's always been, but now for me, who you would say I was always a lock to go, which is not the case anymore. I don't think my level has dropped. It's a good thing for the program. It's a good thing for the nation and the fan and all that. But for me, it's obviously it's tough to accept. But then at the end of the day, I just try to control what I can control, which is my performance, how I prepare, my attitude, and every time there's a wider squad, you want to be in there, and then once you get closer to the official release date of the roster, you want to be part of that. And if you're not, you're not, and it's tough to accept because I'm not a retired player. I think I'm still capable to help out the national team, but it's just part of the game, and I'm not giving up on that. I know I still have some stuff to give to the national team. It could be one more time, it could be 10 more times, or 0. But I'll never turn my back on the national team for sure.
Hey Sam, what's it actually like working under Jesse?
It's really intense in terms of the training. Just an example, we got together for the Copa America. It was right after a window in Europe when we played Netherlands and France. And then we got together, and the first two sessions that we had, it was still a week away from the first game against Argentina, and that was probably the two hardest sessions I've had in my last 10 years of my career. And you're like, I'm in season, I'm season fit, and then you're doing stuff, the running that you do, the stuff even with the ball, the little rondos are not casual rondos that you have fun. It's super intense. So you're like, okay, he's really definite on his style of play. Um, and he knows with his style of play that you have to leave some stuff. So I'm not saying we're not a team, or Canada is not a team that wants to play out of the back, but he knows that our way of playing is putting pressure, winning the second ball, and being a bit chaotic. But if you want to do that, you have to give something up, which is the what we had with John Raymond. Let's say all the platform and the movement from the back, getting out of the back, out of the pressure. So we're less that, but more intensity driven, sprinting, some stuff that I never heard before. So when you sprint and you want to defend someone, you got to go through the guy. You're not stepping 1 feet before the guy. You go through the guy. It's either you win the ball or, well, you crush the guy, but at least you go 100%. So it's new ideas that at first you're a bit like, oh, this is a bit weird, but if everybody's on the same page, it's as we saw with the latest results, it can really work.
With this team, I mean, you're still super close with a lot of the players on the team. Alistair Johnson, I know you were over in Scotland not too long ago, I think in the off season to see what he was doing. So you're obviously keeping tabs on all the guys and how they perform. What do you think they need to do as they get prepared to face Mexico here in the semifinals? Like if we're asking you, Sam Piette, you've got your pundit's hat on. Do they just need to continue on the similar trajectory that they're on and doing all the things that you just talked about and bringing that to their game and using their pace and their physicality to kind of overwhelm Mexico? Like, how do you see this match?
I think this is what they have to do. I think, and that's one of the biggest strengths I think of Jesse and his staff is that they really rely on the qualities of the players. We have a lot of athleticism in the team, and the style of play is the style of play of Jesse Marsch that he learned with Red Bull, or did with Red Bull and Leeds and all the team he coached. But I think this system really fits our player that we have. And against a team like Mexico who likes to play, tiki-taka football and nice football, if you bring this intensity and this togetherness that you have, plus the physical attributes and qualities that we have, I think we can cause big problems. And we saw it against, even if we didn't get the results against Argentina, best of the world, France, all these big teams that it's a good football team in terms of playing and tactics and stuff. But if you bring some intensity, it's a shock and it's tough to cope with. And I think we have that. And obviously, the more time they spend together, the more this playing style and the exact tactics that Jesse wants to implement, it's more natural and the cohesion is better. I think the team will grow. So I would say stick with what they've been doing and how they got success. And also we have qualities. We don't just have like 100 meters athletes on the team. We have guys that can play football. Obviously, we see all of these guys where they're playing, what team, what level, and it's probably something they do different in their club. So maybe their club is not the same style of Jesse Marsch, so they have their own qualities. But I think stick to that playing style and believe in it 100%. I think it's the best way to go.
And if Alistair gets headbutted again, have you had the discussion about him or with him, maybe going over a little bit more, not embellishing so much, but maybe trying to sell it a bit more?
Yeah, I think that's something we need to be a bit more. Sorry for my language, but we need to be a bit more dicks in
never
that
have
sense.
To apologize for your language here, Sam.
Yeah, I think we've been saying a lot of times like, oh yeah, you've been Concacaf, or you play these teams and they're cheating, they're diving, and I think we got to be more savvy with this. And I think we did a good job at the Copa America. But now that you want to face and you will face bigger nation, if you bring this style and this little extra, I think this is something they can bring to their game and that will help them in the long run. So, but that's the problem. This is not in Ali's DNA. We know him as the disciplined guy who knows that if he goes into a fight, whatever, that might harm the team. So you got to be smart with this. But yeah, I think some guys, they have that in them, and yeah, they can, teach some of the guys for sure.
And he had to go back to Scotland. They would have hammered him.
No, exactly. Yeah. Ali is well liked in Scotland, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
Sam, I got a question for you. I mean,
Sure.
you're captain Montreal. You're a leader on and off the pitch. Well respected amongst the national team and obviously throughout MLS. You started off in Europe, in Germany, playing for Fortuna Dusseldorf. You went to Deportivo La Coruña. Do you think that experience helped you become the leader that you are today?
Yeah, definitely. I think going into different countries or playing football in different places in the world and Europe, yes, it like formed me as a player. It created the player I am today, but most definitely created the person I am today and the type of leader. Obviously, you don't approach German the same way you approach Spanish people, or I was in France a bit before too, or French people. Everybody has their different way of living, different culture and all that, and then you pick and choose what you like, and then you form your own person and your own, like I said, player, but your own type of leader. And obviously coming here in Montreal in 2017, having Patrice Bernier leaving, it was kind of like a natural fit for me to not take over, but yeah, to play a bigger role in terms of the leadership. And having a locker room who has a lot of different culture. Because when I was in Germany, most of the guys were German. In Spain, most of the guys were Spanish, so it was pretty easy, and you have to deal with them in one way or another. But when you get here in MLS, and you have some Argentinians, some Italians, American, you gotta adapt a little bit. And I had a little bit of that experience before. Yeah, I think that really helped me as a person, as a leader, as a football player to go overseas, see different things, and then come back home.
And it must be fun for you as well now, being an older player, experienced player, seeing these young Canadian kids going over into Europe now and seeing the maturity come through them.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's the thing. And you guys, obviously, Jimmy, Craig, you guys played the game. I mean, Amy, obviously, as well. But you guys played in Europe, and you know how it is to go in Europe. People nowadays, they are 15, even younger, and they think, my goal is to go to Europe. It's easy, and it's not that easy, and it's not specifically better, and it's not because you're a good player on your team, whether it's the reserve team in Montreal or even the first team, that you're going to have success and you're going to be the top dog in Europe. So to have guys that are able to go in Europe and perform, for me, it's really impressive because I know how hard it is. And so yeah, to be able to experience this, and like I said, it's obviously really good for the program. It's good to create some sort of path to follow and show that it's possible. I mean, obviously I'm thinking about Bombito, who went to college, MLS, Europe. I did MLS. Europe and MLS. It's all different paths that lead up to this, not same place, obviously, but just different ways, different path that, you have different ways to succeed. And then you just got to choose or go where you think it's best for you. But you got to be conscious that one way or another, it's not more easy, and yeah, just to have guys that are in Europe and are successful, are playing, and not just go to Europe and end up not playing, and it's difficult, which some guys experience. It's obviously a lot better for fans back home and just players, upcoming players.
Dubs, do you have to jump, or what's your plan with your children? Are you going to stand on the sidewalk?
No, it's okay. I thought we would just wrap with get to know me with Wonger.
Okay, well, this is great, Sam. Just so you know, you're now part of a legacy. Jonathan Osorio, Jesse Marsch, Richie Larea have all done our rapid fire 6-question quiz. So this is called Get to Know Me with Sam Piette on Footy Prime. So don't think too much. These are quick answers to quick questions. Cool?
Here we go. I'm ready.
All
I'm
right.
a bit scared, but I'm ready.
Okay. Number one, you're at home and watching Netflix. What type of movie are you watching? Documentary, thriller, rom-com, or drama?
Probably documentaries. Yeah.
Like Forrest. It's
there
vacation
you go.
time and you are exploring Canada. What's your ideal holiday? Lakeside cottage, maritime beach, Rocky Mountains, or stay home city adventure?
I would probably go lakeside cottage, you said?
Yep.
Yeah. I have some cottage here in Mont Tremblant, which is a great region. I like the forest. I like the nature. I like to disconnect. So I think that's the best way to go.
Craig also had a place in Lac Tremblant. We used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's top place. Top place.
It is.
Just don't go in his hot tub.
You have a role on a TV show, and for that role, you need to add 30 pounds. What's your go-to junk food?
Mistake. I think just Siri just got onto the laptop.
What happened?
Oh, I think Siri jumped onto the
laptop.
Apparently.
All right, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why Siri.
No, this is very Footy Prime. So this
I
is
blame
perfect.
Wonger's question. Something that sounded like Siri.
Yeah.
You have a role on a TV show, and for the role, you need to add 30 pounds. What's your go-to junk food?
Oh, I mean the classic one, McDonald's, but I feel like it's too easy of an answer. Here in Montreal, I don't know if you guys have that in other provinces in Canada. Probably not Decans. I don't know, Amy, if you know that Decans. It's like the smash burgers and it's like smash burgers, poutine with like some special sauce that they have.
It's like a classic diner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If I would be true to my province, I would go Belle Province or le Petit Québec.
J'aime ça, Belle Province, oui.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You've played at every level and succeeded. What opponent, specifically the player, have you hated playing against or gave you the hardest time?
So the hardest player I played against?
Yeah.
I remember with the national team, we played Morocco, obviously at the World Cup, but one time before, that was a long time ago. And Hakim Ziyech, for me, it looked like nobody, really small, thin. And then he just had this incredible left foot, able to just get the ball and do whatever he wants. He's really impressed me, I would have to say, Ziyech, with Morocco.
You only got a couple more. Okay, here's a big one. Unfortunately, we're going to just play a game here. Unfortunately, Canada does not qualify for the World Cup. We know they will, but let's say they don't. Who do you cheer for? What country?
Probably Spain. I've always been a fan of Spain, the way they play. I know it goes a bit against what I was saying with how Canada plays, but I've been always a fan of Barcelona as well, so that goes hand to hand with that style of play. So yeah, Spain.
What sport would you have played professionally if it weren't for soccer?
I wish I could tell you it was golf, because I really like golf and I think it's a really good sport. I mean, obviously, just watching the players this weekend was fantastic and the way it ended. But to be honest, I've never practiced any other sports than soccer. Like, obviously, I've played with friends like tennis, hockey in the streets, but I've never been part of like a structure with a different sport. But yeah, was always into ice hockey. I think I was a goaltender as well with my friends. I mean, I was the smallest guy. So yeah, you go in the net. And, you save their slap shots. But probably ice hockey.
And then final question: you're on a desert island, and you get to choose one decade of music. What decade do you choose? 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or the 2000s?
Probably 2000s. I mean, I'm born in '94, so I know a couple songs before the 2000, but yeah, I would say 2000. I would have to go with that. Yeah.
And that was Sam Piette, excuse me, Sam Piette on Get to Know Me on Footy Prime. Merci, Sam.
Lovely.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much
Sam.
for coming on, and
Thanks,
we're gonna have to have you back because I didn't even get a chance to ask you. Look, I'm sporting my Montreal Roses.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. That's exciting. Really exciting.
You're an investor and an ambassador, and then you also had a quote a little while ago. Maybe it was the media day to open MLS, and that you claimed that you called yourself a veteran with a young soul. So we'll dive into that next time you come on to Footy Prime. So we have to have you back.
Love it.
Whenever you want. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Sam.